and welcome to our segment of Experts of Southern Nevada. I'm your real estate coach, Greg Adamour. I've lived in Vegas 50 years and been in real estate 35. And each week we bring us featured guests. Today I'm very honored and delighted to bring back Richard Lee, the real estate guru. He's all things real estate here in Las Vegas, currently serving as Vice President of Ticor Title Commercial. And you were 20 years with First American Title?
That's correct, yep.
Yeah, you've been a visionary and a spokesman and ambassador.
We've been chasing real estate deals in Vegas for almost 30 years, yeah. Kind of like you.
Yeah, we've seen it evolve quite some time. And welcome to the show. And again,
Thank you,
thanks
Greg.
for coming back.
That's
and
good to
you
be back.
Had a busy day, even in meetings all day?
Yeah, you know, the market's changing, and so it's fun. It's fun to be busy. I was with a developer yesterday, day before yesterday, had lunch, and he's doing a nursing home facility. He's doing kind of extended care, more than just a nursing home, but a skilled nursing, extended care, looking at a couple of sites in Las Vegas. And I'll tell you, it's exciting to talk to people that are starting to do deals. Again, starting to do business projects that Las Vegas really needs. Of course, there's a lot of things happening in the medical industry. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But still, it was good to feel that same excitement when you, well, I've got some money, I'm looking for more money, and I've got this deal put together, and I've got all these things. Whew, it's been a dry season here for too many years.
Yeah, a lot of people are coming across the border from California. They call it the gold rush into the silver state. There's taxes and cost of real estate taxes and business taxes, and you name it. They're coming to Vegas to start over.
Has always been a strong market, the Southern California, as a feeder market for Las Vegas, but it's certainly become more keen, if you will, as they start to recover and start to have equity in their real estate so that they can sell and take advantage of the equity and then move to Vegas and put that equity into something that gives them actually a whole lot more for the dollar. And then they escape the tax problems and all the things that some people are getting out of California. But it's kind of like me, like this time of year, I like to go to California. I like to go to Newport Beach or Long Beach and hang out when it's 110 degrees here. I say, why do you want to leave California? Then after you try to stand in line for about 4 restaurants and you say, I maybe, and you get in the traffic, and you start saying, yeah, I think Vegas is pretty good.
Yeah, it is. And it's always nice because we're only about 4 hours to Southern California, so if you want to get away for a small vacation, I know a few getaways that we can recommend, and they treat Las Vegas residents real well.
You bet. That's great.
Yeah, but it's so close. We're near everything really here, and we're insulated. The weather's great, and the climate, like you said, is it's a keen market, and I like the word keen because that's our station, Keen TV. But yeah, it's really fortunate to see businesses coming, and a lot of them are catering to seniors, like you mentioned. They're nursing care and convalescent assisted living. A lot of baby boomers are coming to Las Vegas. It's a big jump in our population.
Yep. Well, you kind of look, I think one of the questions that we were going to talk about asking is, what do you see Las Vegas's future? What's happening in the horizon? We'll get into some specifics, some things on the Strip, because it's fun to talk about, and maybe the new mall in Summerlin, a little bit about that, or just some trends that we see happening. But I try to spend my time with myself and my time a little more looking over the horizon of 3 to 5 years. I always used to be the go-to guy to tell you what's happening right now. I told you everything that's going on the Strip. I told you everything that was happening to high-rise condos, what was happening, all the master plans. But you can get that today. You can get it in Greg Adamour's news show. You can get it in the press. So it's not so important then. And you can get it in the blog. You can get it on the internet. So I started thinking about what's important to my customers and my client, and that's those who are looking to invest. To move here, start business, invest, things like that. Where do you see Las Vegas going in the next 3 to 5 years? What's that horizon like? What are some of the new things going on? And you start looking at, well, let's just take a few things. Let's take the medical industry. There are some very interesting things that are happening in the medical industry. A big interest in building extended care, skilled nursing facilities. There's been a lot of that happening, or getting ready to happen. Some of it's under construction now. A lot more is getting ready to happen. It's the trend. You follow what's happening with the baby boomers. Those kind of product is like, if you look at what's going to happen, Las Vegas is going to take advantage of that. But not only that, we have with the Cleveland Clinic downtown, We have medical tourism that's gaining more momentum. And so there's a lot of interesting things happening in the medical community that Las Vegas has an opportunity, if we do, especially with all things in healthcare that's happening. There's some interesting niches, there's some holes, if you will, in the current system. It's tragic what's happening to our doctors, how hard it is for them to make money right now. A good doctor friend of mine, his wife's, he was just talking about filling out an application for a home. His wife was making more money than he was, and she's a pharmacist, and that's just the opposite of what it used to be. And we've got to make sure that we start worrying about those kind of things. So there's a lot of interesting things in the medical community. Then there's a lot of interesting things that we've always had a little edge on, and that's military. And what's happening with military is that it's becoming civilian in the sense that the drone is what I'm just trying to get to, is trying to relate to what's happening with drones. You know, it's just become drone central. As the drones become more adaptable to civilian use, we are in the position to hiring thousands of people to oversee and be the center of the civilian drone world or empire, if you will. Okay, there's a lot of opportunity there. And a lot of studies are going to have to be done as how high they can go. Excuse me. What's the, what kind of privacy issues you're going to be facing? There are going to be a lot of surveillance with police using drones in all the major cities. That's just something that's going to happen. So we're the center of that. And there'll be a lot of other businesses that feed into that business. You know, those the side businesses that make some of that happen. That's very important. Excuse me.
There was some news feeds about the I don't know if it was Bigelow. There's a local guy in trying to be one of the on the forefront of passenger travel to space, and there's some people here that are doing research on that as well. And,
Bigelow and also Branson. I got a good friend who's already bought a ticket on Branson's airplane or rocket that's going into space. I call him Rocket Man. He's a real estate guy.
Branson.
He's ready to go.
So we're kind of there's a wide open. I guess it's just a nice climate to attract business and research and development. I know we were one of the big solar energy type things and alternative energy hubs here in the Southwest.
There's a lot happening. Everybody's talking about that big monster down there on the border, and there's more happening on this side of the border too. And that technology has gotten to a point where it's much more feasible for single family. It's not so much that the technology has changed yet, but I think we're at a tipping point on solar. Everything you see out there is already outdated, and probably what's in the lab right now probably going to change all that. But there's still so much interest in investing in this technology, and it's not that technology has changed, it's gotten so much cheaper. It's just that the panels, the construction of the panels, have gotten so much cheaper that it's a much more competitive, much more economic. The economic model is much better than it used to be.
It's a lot more viable for people to use.
It really is. So there's as need to change the technology as there was. No, not since there still will be, because it's certainly we have to harness that. We only harness such a small of it. There's a lot out there. Somebody will figure it out.
You mentioned downtown. The downtown corridor since Tony Heisch and they developed down there and kind of renewed the whole system down there. And there seems a lot of development going in the downtown area. You mentioned the Cleveland Clinic, Lululo, the Smith Center. They're just making it a lot more friendly. Ever since they had the downtown experience, how many years ago was that? But it's becoming a key area to bring up the base values of Southern Nevada and make it a more attractive place to live. Well,
big thing here, all the polls say that one of the things downtown doesn't have is a grocery store. We understand there's a grocery store coming around the corner. So downtown certainly is fun. It's certainly eclectic. And all the things that Tony Hsieh's doing certainly is a attaboy, and he's been putting his money where his mouth is and investing a lot of downtown. It kind of had its big economic real estate boom, and now everything's a little overpriced for what's going to happen there. We're going to have to kind of see how that settles out. It's kind of, I don't know if you've been downtown on a weekend or anything, it's kind of fun. And it's a lot more affordable than the Strip. You take a date downtown, you can have, it's quite interesting.
Yeah,
it's
stepped
fun.
up security. They've got the First Fridays. They have the art district. They have a lot more of a cultural infusion. So the whole city seems to be reinventing itself as usual. Las Vegas
I think so.
is a trend center worldwide.
Well, we have to. We can't continue to think that the gaming is going to be the funder of everything and the biggest economic, what we've done, what we were, and what contributed to the biggest growth, the most population growth, anything like that in the country. That economic engine has been challenged by everybody in the world. And so what's going to happen with gaming is still kind of interesting. I think gaming is facing an interesting paradigm. That blue-haired lady with a cigarette sitting in front of a slot machine is disappearing. So gaming is certainly spending millions trying to understand who their new client is. Is the millennium generation going to be a gambler? So what's going to happen in that world is very interesting. What's happening in gaming, of course, they all deny it, but they all are doing, I'm sure, spending millions of dollars on understanding internet gaming or handheld gaming with your iPhones, your smartphones. I have an interest in a company called WannaBet Vegas. It's all smartphone based. I mean, it can be an iPad too, but it's kind of fun. It's a pari-mutuel product that we're developing. We're pretty excited about it. But it's more geared toward what the millenniums are looking at. The millenniums not necessarily like the odds that our gaming industry has. That generation is changing. That gambler. When you realize too, only 10% of the United States, about 10% of the United States, are real what we call gamblers. There are a lot of people who come here first time that aren't gamblers, but do we turn that group into a gambler? That's what the Vegas casinos are all about.
Sure. And I think they're appealing now to a wider market. You're seeing like the project over by the Monte Carlo, where they're building I guess a 20,000-foot arena just west of Monte Carlo up there, and and it's like, I don't know if it's 8 or 10 acres, but it's more like a park like New York, with the vendors and the best restaurants, and their music, outdoor music things. Kind of like over where the Link is. They have the highest Ferris wheel in the United States that's opened up recently.
That's right.
And
well, it's very entertainment based. Not entertainment based, but the entertainment dollar is a lot bigger now than it used to be. You used to have gambling dollars was your biggest revenue generator, and then now you have entertainment dollars that are almost as big, if not bigger, than the gambling dollar. The problem is that the gambling dollar was 80 cents. They made 80 cents on every dollar. In the entertainment, they only make 20 cents on every dollar. So they might have the same gross revenue, but the profit margins are really, really different. So the casino industry certainly has some challenges in dealing with that and how to deal with that and how it works. Let's face it, that 99-cent hot dog and 59-cent shrimp cocktail doesn't exist hardly anymore.
Yeah, we remember the days.
Or the $5 buffet.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you go to a buffet on Sunday anymore? You know what it's cost? Oh wow.
I don't know, 40, 50 bucks in some of those high-end places, Although, I guess it's still more affordable. But I think we're attracting the families now. We've got some Wet and Wild parks have been opened, and the theme resorts, and the diversity. And then I think we're seeing more of a global market, now that I think Edelweiss opened up and airlines, at the Terminal 3 opened up about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And they're bringing in a lot of foreign people with money, and this is still a worldwide destination. You're getting people come in, and we're seeing a lot of buyers coming in from China and overseas lately, and they're just bringing up the values. Property values are skyrocketing. Yeah.
The international opportunity here is with that airport, any place in the world that has built an international airport on the scope of that, it adds to their economic engine big time. And we're going to see the impact of that more and more. Las Vegas is still a showcase. There's still the conventions here. And the convention authority is getting pretty aggressive, again, about expansion. Where they're finding the money is their challenge, like anybody else. And there is still going to be, it's a showcase for all things new and cool. If you're gonna show something new to the world, there are about 3 places you do it, and really only 2. And then one of them is Hong Kong, and the other is Las Vegas, because we have so much exposure. There are almost 300, some sort of a convention with the car industry, about 300 of them a year here in Las Vegas.
They got clothing, they got the CE electronics show, and the wall with the furniture mart downtown,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I think everybody has to. This is the city that can accommodate if people do want to come here to have their conventions. So a lot of people overlook that, but
the international presence too. You look at Genting. You were going to talk about Genting. This is a new resort by that Pan Asian company, and there's becoming a much more international foreign influence or foreign interest in Las Vegas. And I see that with other smaller ancillary businesses that are happening with regard to like Chinatown's you're going to see some expansions in Chinatown. There's just kind of a lot of exciting things for that foreign investor.
Sure, they sure are. Yeah, we mentioned a couple times about the foreign investor and the currency values and so forth at the Las Vegas Investment Club, and I think you're one of the founders of that with Steve Hooks and Mike Latheke and Steve Hawks.
Mike and Steve approached me, and we kind of just doing a couple things independently, and then we're together in a couple meetings, and he said he wanted to start this investment club, and it's been very fun. It started out pretty small, but we've had an agenda to make meaningful recommendations for investment in not only real estate, in other places, but give people a place to get a different opinion, but a really solid opinion backed by some pretty reputable people. Steve Hawks has got a great reputation for a lot of things he's doing in the real estate. I pretty well have a handle on a lot of things I'm doing in Las Vegas, and Mike certainly has a handle on the worldwide economic trends and markets, and has been pretty successful. So it's kind of fun. We bring in some guest people. We bring in some different people to talk about projects that we really look at really carefully. And it's worthwhile. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been exciting, and cultivating good relationships, good information for our viewers that haven't been to the Las Vegas Investment Club. If you want to contact us at the station, we can let you know when our next meetings are. I can be reached here locally at 702-561-7454. We can make available our schedules to you. It's free to the public, which is nice. It was originally cost money. Now it's been sponsored.
No, it's
by
nice. We brought people. I own interest in oil in Texas because of the real estate club. We brought in people who have who loan money, like these check cashing companies. Talk about a business model that makes money, and you can invest in that. And you don't have to be big investors to get in some of these. We've had some very, very interesting investment opportunities put before the club.
I think Bill Walsh came in at the end of the meeting last time. I know he sat down with Donald Trump and I think Richard Branson, and he's a motivating speaker. I know after sitting there for about an hour, our heads were being filled with good information about the precious metals and silver and gold. And he came in and got everybody all excited. He was going to attend our show here, and I think he's going to be in town another week or two and might grace our show. He's an excellent speaker and knows so much about building capital and starting. And he's talking about the whole market being global now. We're seeing a lot of internet and mobile apps and stuff. So, the market's changed. The world's a changing place, and I think Las Vegas stays on the cutting edge, stays ahead of the game.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah,
I tell you what,
trying, huh?
We're on the cutting edge of the most foreclosures, the most upside down properties. I hate that reputation. You say we're always on the cutting edge. I think so. I think there's always been a pretty interesting openness of Las Vegas. Say you want to try something, try it. But it's also hard to succeed. People need to have good advice, and they need to be careful because this is a tough town because it's so many things so many people want to take a fly at something or try something new. There's just a lot of craziness sometimes that goes along with it.
Yeah, and that's why I like being able to contact people like yourself, some of the brightest minds in real estate that know what's going on in the commercial. They know who's there. You're meeting with the people. I remember you met with I think Mr. McDonald back before McDonald Ranch was opened up. I think we mentioned this in the first show. He had 3,200 acres, which everybody thought originally was probably undevelopable. It was all over, the south end of Henderson and what is it, Seven Hills and Dragon Ridge and Anthem and you name it, it's all up there. And he had a master plan and a vision. And the timing has seemed to be so important, isn't it, with Las Vegas and sitting in some of your presentations along with the other members of an original commercial marketing group, hearing these things before they happened was prophetic. It's just nice to know. And now we're looking at down the road 5-10 years where we've talked a little bit about before the cameras were rolling at Highway 11 that might come up through Phoenix, which could be an amazing tool for commerce.
Yeah.
We have the airport, but also that would give us the interstate between two population bases over 2 million.
Well, you look within a day's drive of Las Vegas are 25 million people. maybe 50 million people.
Wow.
So you think of the trucking industry and you think of what's new. This is the other thing that Las Vegas has an opportunity to do here now, whether we're able to do it, whether we got the visionary, and it's going to take a lot of discussion about the new airport, and discussion about transportation issues. But when you feel that we're located within that day's drive, then you talk about the new distribution world. See, the world of distribution is changing. It is a lot, and you all do it. It's your point, click, and it'll be at your doorstep tomorrow.
Right.
So when you look at the distribution of how that's going to handle the Apples, the Walmarts, you go to Best Buy and you order a big TV, they don't have it there. They may not have it there. Sometimes they don't stock as much as they used to, but they'll say, we'll have it for you tomorrow morning. Wow. So you go in there at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, you buy that TV, it'll be delivered to your house tomorrow morning. Where does it come from? California. Right. Okay, there's areas where they're going to be warehousing distribution, and you talk about, you look at the new distribution, the mass distribution, interconnecting portals that have rail, air, and highway, and you start looking at Interstate 15 and the access that it has to 50 million people, and the rail and the air, then you realize Las Vegas can be poised for some extraordinary opportunity in new generation distribution. Storage, transportation, distribution. We may even have, like in Norwegian, Norway, is it Norway? They have trucks shipping freights and goods that are driven by non-humans. Wow. Yeah, all automatic, all driverless shipping.
Yeah, see, we're talking about drones now. What other technology?
Now it could be on their own. The technology exists,
and
actually, this is one of the few states where where we allow that. We allow driverless vehicles in Nevada.
Oh, wasn't aware of that.
Oh, yeah, you never know. See, there's a lot of things going on. We don't know. Wow, that cutting edge you talk about, the state willing to accept some interesting opportunities that other states may not look at. So let's say you've got, look, all of a sudden you could have coming out of Long Beach, which is very busy.
Huge shipping port, yeah.
A three-station truck without a driver will be in it, but it's not being driven by it. He just sits there and watches it.
Because they got the LA port and the Long Beach port. And, that's one of in San Francisco. So we're not far from international trade and commerce, and of course we have the business structure involved. We don't have a state corporate tax. A lot of people don't realize no corporate tax.
That's
here.
right.
You go to California, these guys pay, I don't know how much, 14, 16%, and they have inheritance tax. Why would people want to retire there when they could retire here, buy a property? Well,
it's a beautiful thing. So hopefully we won't pass this margin tax, because it's a disastrous thing for business.
Oh yeah, I had Colleen Kelly and from the Board of Realtors and National, I think she's a Nevada Association president for that. She came in and we talked about it, and really, it was a bad idea. It was just really not a well-founded tax, and it would hurt business and hurt employment, and it's not necessarily going to go towards, it's earmarked to go to education. We all want to help the kids and but I don't think this is the right bill, and it's ill-timed, and I don't think it'll pass. I think it's coming up in November. Was it question 2 or 3?
It's question 3. It's the education bill, and it's also called the margin tax. So it's got 3 different names, and it's all the same bill.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what people need to realize. There's 3 different names talking about the same bill, and it's all really, really bad for business. It's a disaster.
Oh yeah,
it could really affect a lot of businesses.
Yeah, when people wake up, if they vote for it, and I think it would take at least a couple of years before it could go before the legislature to remove it, and then maybe another couple of years.
Oh, it's dangerous.
Yeah, very dangerous thing, and people should look into that margins tax and do their homework on it. And yeah, that's something that we had a special meeting at the Political Affairs Committee at the Board of Realtors, where I've been a member for over 30 years. Is that people dedicate their time. That's one of the good things about the real estate community, where they do their homework, and we look at these bills and these measures and the candidates and how that affects property values. We've been pretty active on a national and local level trying to fight these bills that are going to hurt business, hurt property owners in Las Vegas, and really hurt education, the intended beneficiary of this bill. So But yeah, I think there's other things that can be done and will be done, and so it's
Well,
good.
we have to do some things for education. I won't argue that.
Oh, definitely.
This is not the thing.
No, that's not the right way to get it.
Right.
Well, they're talking about legalizing marijuana. If they do that, or they have already, I'm not sure, but they could take some of that money. It's supposed to be quite an enormous windfall that could go to your education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those of the real estate, especially the commercial real estate, have been inundated with people looking for locations and places for warehouses. I don't know. I'm just not real positive about that.
Yeah, it seems like it's caught up in a lot of politics. I mean, it seems that the people that are getting approved for those licenses are very, very well connected.
Yes.
Very, very affluent people.
Yeah.
Henderson had a little different, they have the state regulated, so there's going to be years and years to see how that football gets kicked back and forth. But,
Yes, it will be. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's a political football. And well, speaking of the arena, in the last few minutes of the program, I've heard some talk about UNLV having quite a big arena on the campus. Is there anything that's really been decided or set in stone on that, or is there still issues about the funding, or is that going to actually materialize?
Well, the big arena that they were planning with joint venturing with Roski Enterprises, or Roski Majestic Realty and Roski, that got canceled.
Right.
Then GM announced their arena with AEG. And then there's an arena that's talked about being with to use for like soccer downtown, and an arena and retail around that. There's been probably half a dozen proposed arenas. UNLV is trying to figure out what they can afford to get and what they can afford to build and where to put it. It would be nice to see the football stadium have a football stadium big enough next to UNLV, making that campus of it's kind of a campus that needs. It's a commuter campus right now. There's not a lot of students live there. They all commute from the city. It would be nice to see things happen that would change that. And they had, I thought, a really good direction there. And that just got changed because of politics and funding. And I'm not quite sure how or what they're going to be doing now that has any really meaningful opportunity for the campus. I think it's something they should continue to work on. I think there's some bright people over there working on those things. I'd like to see it.
I heard there might be a medical school at UNLV too. Is that something in the
Yeah, we have one of the best medical schools in the country here. That's the Touro University here, just not far from here, from this location. Touro University is extraordinary training in the medical for medical. It's probably one of the best in the United States. They have university here in California, New York, and the one here, people just don't really know it, but it really is. That is kind of setting the stage. And I'm talking about, again, what's going to happen with the medical industry in Las Vegas. And if they do a medical school at UNLV, that's a good thing too.
Well, that's great. Yeah, my wife and I, Lillian, we have one of our kids going to med school, and his wife's going to med school, so we would hope to see that happen.
You bet.
Yeah, 7 boys and a girl, so it's a pretty big
Now
family.
we just have to, once they get out of med school, be able to get into an environment where they can make a living. And
and not start out with $200,000 in debt.
That's right.
Rich, you've been in Vegas, about 30 years? I know you're single, by the way. We're going to next program, single, Christian Mingles. We're going to single. And I'd like, to introduce you to some nice gals, because I know you're always working. Probably don't get much chance to get out often.
We seem to be working all the time, yes.
Yeah, not a doubt.
And being single in Las Vegas is not easy, and anybody who is single knows exactly what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
So it's hard to find some good people that
Well, shockingly handsome, well-educated man. And what's the best way for our viewers to get a hold of you? If they got a question about Las Vegas, they want to get
you could
resources.
Call Tycor Title Commercial, or call. That's the best way to look it up if you want. I don't think I'm going to give my cell number out.
What about the office number there? Email?
932-0777. 702-932-0777 is Tycor Title. And he asked for Tycor Commercial, Richard Lee.
Richard Lee.
And email is rlee@tycortitle.com. RLEE.
Well, Richard, I sure wanted to thank you for being with us today, and it's been a wonderful time again, as usual, and it's always a blessing.
We could go on for hours, couldn't we?
You got a lot of information, and it's all welcome. We thank you for sharing with us today, our viewers. Got about 250,000 here in town, and millions on the internet, and 35,000 more in the hotel room. So we're getting the word out there, and it's a lot of fun and a lot of excitement. We'll see you here next Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. right here on Keen TV 17. Have a great week.